Why are you so uptight about the speed limit? Because everybody, it's 55 miles an hour. Everybody's going 75, right? Like everybody. So I'm just going with traffic. And I was just like, Brooke, just stop it. You're just driving me crazy. And what do you know? I got pulled over.
You got pulled over.
I was going with traffic.
How's it going, everyone? Welcome back to another episode of the Shawn and Matt Show. My name is Matt, that is Shawn, and welcome to our show. Shawn, in today's episode, we have an update on the arena.
Oh, we do.
The Arlington Wizards, the National Landing Capitals, may be no longer. And then we're also going to get into some trending topics in the Northern Virginia real estate market. Just stories from the trenches, because recently, Shawn, I've been having an internal struggle about the show and what direction we want to take it. And by the way, if you're listening, if you're watching, drop a comment down below. Let us know what you want to hear more of, because we've had some fantastic agents on the program recently, and I absolutely love our guests. And I want to be sure that we are prompting our guests and asking the right questions so that the listeners out there are getting the most out of the program. And so it's geared towards the home buyers, the home sellers, and the engaged listeners of the Northern Virginia market and frankly, wherever the heck you live.
That's right. Well, good for you, Matt. To have that internal struggle. Let's figure this thing out. Help us out.
We're going to do that. All right. I like asking for feedback. All right. So let's get into it. Virginia lawmakers to remove arena from budget, blocking Youngkin's best shot for us. This comes from the Washington Post just yesterday on Wednesday, March the 6th. Virginia lawmakers are poised to strip plans for a new Wizards and Capitals arena from the state budget, which would block Governor Glenn Youngkin's best shot at bringing the teams to Alexandria. In an interview Wednesday night with the Washington Post, Senate Finance and Appropriations Chairwoman Louise Lucas from Portsmouth said the arena language will not be in the budget compromise that negotiators will release about noon on Thursday. So, long and the short of it is, it appears that the arena plan is dead. It's no longer, it's not even going to be considered in the Virginia budget. Now, listeners, viewers of the program, we had Josh Chapman on. I think he had it at 80% that it would be built. Do you remember what you had it?
I think I had it at 40%.
You had it at 40. Do you remember what I had it
Mr.
at?
Matt had it like 10 or 15%.
I had it at 20%, and halfway through that sentence, I dropped it back down to 15%. I just never thought that this plan would go through for one reason or another, and it looks like it's not going to go through for one reason or another. And this is not to get into the weeds of Virginia politics, because I think it's more so, hey, if you're not going to give us this toll money or this traffic, then we're not going to sign off on your state. I don't know how it all works on the back end, but what I'm curious about is, how are we supposed to react to news like this in the Northern Virginia area? Because you see a lot of movement around, Amazon HQ2 announcement, arena announcement near Delray. In fact, the condo, building that we're recording in right now, just next door, there was plans for an entire building, a 30-story, like magnificently large, obese building that was going to block the sunlight, the $1 million views of owners in my condo building. And, I had a listing come on at the same time that would be directly impacted. And because I have a conscience and I sleep well at night, what do I tell people? Hey, what's this view? Yeah, it's a great view. By the way, there are renderings, there are plans, there are essentially blueprints of a building that maybe is going to block the view. And so we get dinged on that listing. Someone pulled out on the condo docs because that's what everyone's talking about. And I don't blame them, by the way. This was back in 2021. And now plans are stalled. The building just sold for pennies on the dollar. It's a commercial building that would be converted into an apartment complex. And now, I'm left wondering, we're making business decisions based on blueprints and plans that didn't end up coming to fruition. So Shawn, when you see these splashy articles and cool arena venues, hey, we're going to bring this many jobs, and then they go back and delete the tweets. What are your thoughts from a real estate perspective on how to handle news like this?
Yeah, this is so hard because naturally on the news, everybody jumps and then, oh my gosh, we got to move there or we got to move out. Remember when my client called me 10 minutes after the announcement? She's like, should I sell? And I'm like, hold on a second. Just because you're hearing this doesn't mean it's definite. And to go to your point about the building next door, I remember you calling me about that. You're like, listen, this building's going up. Should I disclose this? And how should, and you have a conscience and you're like, wait, well, if you purchase this might happen. But the thing is, disclosure is one thing, but only if it's definite, right? Only if it's there and it's signed and it's happening. But if it's speculation, do we have to disclose speculation? There could be tomorrow, this building could be going down. So you just never know. And I think that's the important thing. Yeah, be aware that any of these buildings in Roslyn could be bought out and torn down, just like in front of Turnberry Tower. Think about Turnberry Tower. They have multi-million-dollar condos up there with views of DC, and now they're blocked by the new building that's going up. So it can happen everywhere, and so you have to be careful on what news you give people because it can totally change their decision. I would say that because this news comes in and it says, hey, it looks like it's not on the budget, looks like it's going to be struck down. The key word that I want to say in that is best chance. So it was Youngkin's best chance to get this thing to go, but it was struck down. That's because Democrats struck it down, or the opposing forces. I can't say Democrats because I'm sure there's Democrats for it and against it, or Republicans for and against it. But it's always a negotiation, and that's the thing. Is the same thing with real estate. It's always a negotiation. You're not to the finish line until you're to the finish line, until you're breaking ground at that place, right? And so, just because this news comes out, I want to warn people that I don't think it's completely dead, because Youngkin could come back and say, well, you know what? I'm going to write this in, or I'm going to propose this. Just because the first kind of line goes through and it seems like it's not going to be on the budget, if you read that article further down, on Saturday, they could have a different opposing view and they could negotiate different things. And like the article said, hey, I want the tolls to come down in Hampton Roads. Well, okay, you give me this, I'll give you that. So it looks like Matt's 10, 15%, guess at the time or estimation of this going through is probably right. I would say that Matt is the winner on this. I think it probably won't go through, but there's always a chance, man. You just never know. And so the other thing I thought was timely at this, I saw on ARL Now, I think it was ARL Now on X or something, on their X account, said that they tweeted something and then they took it down, but about private funding for the arena. So at one point, the state is saying, all right, it's dead because it's not in the budget. But on the other hand, the private funding for the arena is kind of going. So I don't know. By the way, in all these articles, do you think it's time that we drop X, formerly Twitter? Do you think people know that X is formerly Twitter?
Yeah, I think we just call it Twitter. Yeah, I don't know.
Whatever.
I guess if there was a hierarchy, the worst is X, formerly Twitter.
Yeah,
that's the worst.
Just either call it X or Twitter.
I could
we
get
know
on
what you're
board
talking
with that.
about. Yeah.
Does Elon Musk want it to be called X, or does he want it to be called Twitter? Now I know he bought it and it's X or whatever, but
good question.
But there's people out there who are like, I refuse to say the word Twitter, or like I refuse to share any Twitter related stories because I don't like Elon Musk. It's like, really?
Yeah,
get over yourself.
I know. These people just whatever. It becomes way too crazy.
So what's the emotion? What are you feeling when you see that the arena plans are no longer, because there wasn't really a vote on it. We could say, hey, Alexandria didn't want it. There was a parade. There were 100 people there. Josh Chapman would disagree. I think other Alexandria residents would disagree. It never actually got to a vote. So we can speculate that most people were against it, comma, there were some people for it. But I mean, should we be happy? Should we be surprised? Where's your head at with this?
Well, I mean, there's so many different thoughts on this. Yeah, I would have loved to seen something like that built in Alexandria just to see what would have come with it. At the same time, DC is hurting. You know, I think that DC needs the arena. I think that most people look forward to going to DC to kind of escape maybe a little bit and, you know, go to see something different in an area that they don't normally go to, right? I mean, I don't go to DC a lot except to sports games. So there's that kind of side of things where you don't want to see DC fold or have more problems because they don't have the sports arenas there. But then again, you kind of see like, all right, well, it would be neat to see it over on this side of the river and see what could become of that. Do we need it? Do we need it on this side of the river? I don't think we need it. Does DC need it? Yes, I believe they do, right? So I think there's two dichotomies there where it's like, does one side need it or the other side need it more? And I think DC is the biggest beneficiary of, you know, sports teams.
Do you not see the stars aligning for a DC renaissance in the next 5 to 10 years? And what I mean by that is, listen, it's a tough time to be in DC right now. You turn on the news, you're seeing businesses close, you're seeing, you know, this and that. There's no getting around the subject. But there's light. There's light at the end of the tunnel. So, I firmly believe that the Washington Capitals and the Washington Wizards and Capital One Arena and Mayor Bowser and whatever lease land deal they have going on there, they're going to figure that out. And then I also believe, as you're seeing the RFK Stadium trickle through, you know, whatever government legislator hoops and budget and finance and land use permits it's got to get through, that being a possible future landing spot for the Washington Commanders or whatever they may end up being. So I see this as the bottoming out point for DC. Maybe the bottom point was when they announced, you know, the arena, and then everyone's like, well, DC is done for. Gallery Place is done for. Why would anyone want to go to Penn Quarter? And now we're starting to see the change. And now we're starting to see the bell curve, the curve kind of go back up again. So honestly, man, I'm so happy that the arena's not going to be here. I think the one thing that I would want less than an arena in this spot, do you know what it is? We've talked about
which spot?
In Potomac Yard.
The one thing you would want less in Potomac Yard.
What big development in Northern Virginia do we talk about?
Casino.
A casino. That would be the one thing I would want less than this ungodly arena. And you know, people say, hey, it's a billionaire. Why doesn't he just, you know, build the arena himself? That's just not how it works, right? And I hate that that's my answer. But unfortunately, if you look around the sports leagues, billionaires get what they want. And if they don't get it in one city, then they move the team, you know, to Santa Clara or outside to Cobb County, you know, outside of Atlanta. So Shawn, so Potomac Yard, what's going to become of Potomac Yard? This area has been longed for development. It's finally got the metro. It's finally got some news going. What's going to happen with the site?
Well, the site could, I mean, there are so many companies that want to come into there. So even if it doesn't become a sports arena, there's still plenty of bars, restaurants that could go in there. But I think there's companies like the Boeings, like the Virginia Techs, that will follow suit to maybe make this their home. So that could be more of a corporate area shared with you know, restaurants and nightlife and things like that. So it doesn't have to be a sports arena. It can be big business coming to this area because they know it's a great area. They know it's close to DC. It's good for legislation. It's good for tax dollars. It's good for everything. It's good to be close to that and close to an airport. It's such a good location. And the fact that you have an airport right there, it's really close, and you're really close to DC. So there's a lot of good opportunity for that. It doesn't have to be wasted on a sports, and I don't want to say wasted because I think it could be cool, but on a sports arena. Now the thing is, RFK, you know, you bring the football team back to DC. You have new Audi Field. You've got the Nats Park, right? And if you keep the Capitals in DC, that's a lot of sports teams in there. And then you've got how many bridges going across into DC. You've got a lot of traffic. I mean, you've been down there whenever you've got two games going on at once. It sucks getting across the 14th Street Bridge. So you have to think about traffic no matter where you put this, no matter where, if these teams stay there and you bring the football stadium back, which would be great. I would love to see it back in DC. You have to think of infrastructure no matter what. And so DC's tough for that. You know, I was driving through DC the other way and to get to Maryland, right? To get to Ocean City, I drive through DC and I cut around 295 and up to Route 50, okay? But that backside, like through Anacostia and all that stuff, it's so bad. It's dead slow. There's no traffic moving. And the roads are horrible and the infrastructure is bad. So like there has to be something done prior to anything moving.
Well, at least you didn't get a speeding ticket from a speed camera because there was so much traffic that you couldn't go fast enough to trigger the speed camera.
That's the one positive. And that's so funny you say that because I purposely don't go through there because it's so easy to go over 25 and then bam, right through one of those tunnels on K Street or whatever it is.
Over 25? I think you mean like over 9. Wait, over 25.
Exactly.
I think it's like if you go 11 over,
and the thing is, you don't know you got a ticket until the month later. You're like, oh my God. And if you're going that same way every day, you're like, I'm just cruising through here. Don't realize there's a camera and bam, 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 bam. Those things add up quickly.
I think I've gotten like 2 or 3 of those in my life. And I'm like, who was driving this? Someone else? This isn't my car.
This isn't me. Wait,
and then it takes me like okay, what was I doing a month and a half ago? Oh, wait, okay, yes, okay, yeah, you got me.
Yeah, you know what's so funny? I was driving down to Maryland the other day, and my family was in the car, and my daughter in the Tesla, you can see what the speed limit is and what you're going, and she kept yelling at me, and I'm like, stop being a backseat driver. I'm like, why are you so uptight about the speed limit? Because everybody, it's 55 miles an hour. Everybody's going 75, right? Like everybody. So I'm just going with traffic. And I was just like, Brooke, just stop it. You're just driving me crazy. And what do you know? I got pulled over.
You got pulled over.
I was going with traffic. I was literally going with traffic. This guy moves over and the cop's sitting here.
What lane were you in?
Left lane? I was in the fast lane.
You were in the left lane?
Yeah, I was in the left lane.
Okay.
But I was following somebody with, you know, as traffic is moving and the right lane was moving pretty much with us. But then that person moved over and then exposes me. Guy pulls me over. Nice officer. I was very kind and I was like, hey, how you doing? Just handed him my stuff. And I was cool to him and whatever. Gave me a warning.
Gave you a warning?
Gave me a warning.
How? Yeah. Well, what did the conversation go?
He said, Shawn, you haven't been pulled over in a long time. Thank you for giving me your information and, you know, not putting up a fuss. Because I was fuming for a second. I'm like, I should tell him that. I was just going with this, but I didn't say anything. I just handed my stuff over and said, how you doing? And he came back. He said, you know what? You have a good driving record in the state of Maryland, and I'm just going to give you a warning. And I was like, man, thank you. I appreciate that. Fist bump. On your way.
Did you fist bump the cop?
Yeah.
No.
I did.
No, you didn't.
Thank you.
Did you really?
Yeah, I did.
Okay.
Yeah. It's part of, you know, just being human.
Shawn's out. I appreciate the boys in blue, huh?
So the rest of the ride home, I'm like, meh.
Wait, so limit. Is the moral of the story Brooke was right?
Brooke was right.
Is that the moral of the story?
She was right. Yeah, I have to say she was right. But, you know, she wasn't scared of getting
Did she like
over.
rub it in your face?
She did a little bit. But then I was like, all right, I can't go this slow anymore. You know, Kristen, my wife, was like, oh my God, this is driving me crazy. Can we speed up now? Like, was Brooke scared when the cops pulled you over? No, I thought she was going to be because she is such a rule follower. You know, I was like, oh my God, she's gonna be crying, and Bodie's in the back probably crying and stuff. But no, it was all good. Everybody was calm, and we got off safely.
So was that the first interaction with like the police for your kid? Did you tell Brooke like, okay, here's? No, that wasn't the first interaction?
I was actually pulled over years ago in Maryland. Same thing, but I was going the other way.
You got a little lead foot.
No, it's just that they're 55 miles an hour, and it's like, it's easy to go over 55 on these roads, right?
It's easy to go 20 miles over.
No, so I got pulled over, but the reason was Bodie was just like an infant, and he was screaming his head off in the back. And the cop comes up and he sees that. He's like, oh man, I'm going through the same thing right now. I know what you're going through. And I was like, honestly, like, I'm just trying to get there, dude. And he honestly let me go too.
Yeah, you're good with the warnings, huh?
Yeah. Hey, you just got to be nice. You show them life, right? Show them like, hey, man, baby in the back crying. We've been driving for a couple hours. Anyways, yeah, thank you, State of Maryland, for giving me a reprieve on that.
Okay, so
what are we talking about now?
No idea, but let's get back to a story in the trench. I have a story. I'd like to share it with you, and I would like your honest opinion. I don't want you to sugarcoat it. I don't want you to make me feel good. I want you to tell me if I'm wrong.
Okay.
Tell me if I'm wrong. So here's what happened last week. Property came on the market. It was in the coming soon status for about a week. My buyers reached out, and we set up a showing for the first day it was on the market. We set it up for a Thursday. Comes on the market on Thursday. We see it. Lovely house. We and everyone else in Northern Virginia also saw it. Very, very hot property. So I called the agent immediately after. I call her, 6 p.m. on a Thursday. I don't like calling people at 6 p.m. It's part of the job, right?
Yeah.
You got to do it. And she picked it up on the first call, on the first ring. Very pleasant, very, very cordial, very professional, and told me everything I need to know. And in that phone conversation, she said, deadline's Monday. Hey, see in the MLS, deadline is Monday 5 p.m. Confirmed it on the phone. Perfect. We'll get back to you, and we'll let you know. Clients are very interested. So Friday happens. Saturday happens. There's an open house. My buyers saw it, Thursday at 5:30. The sun's going down. They wanted to see how the light hits the property during the house, during the day. And so they saw it during the open house on Saturday afternoon from, 1 to 3, 12 to 2 sort of situation. Listing agents there. And my buyers, I've coached it. They're experienced. They're fantastic. They're asking the right questions. They're saying, hey, do you have any offers? Like, what's the offer situation? The agent says, hey, we have 3 offers. We're expecting more. And then my buyers asked an even better question. They said, just want to confirm the offer deadline is still Monday at 5 p.m. And the agent goes, oh, no, we've moved that up. The offer deadline is now Saturday at 5 p.m. So that was Saturday afternoon. This offer deadline has now moved to essentially 4 hours from this moment when my buyers asked. So now we're in panic mode. Now we're in scramble mode. And Shawn was able to help me out. I'm down in Colonial Williamsburg. I'm walking on the main road down there that I can't pronounce. Gloucester. No, I think it's Gloucester Street.
Gloucester, that sounds right.
Duke of Gloucester.
Yeah.
And I get a text from my people. And they're like, hey, deadline changed. It's now today. What should we do? And I immediately reach out to the agent and I say, hey, just wanted to check in. And she's at the open house, so I don't expect an immediate response. I think my buyers may be confused. Just want to confirm the offer deadline is Monday, but then they said it was today. Could you help me clear it up? She goes, offer deadline's today. I sent you an email. I checked my email 10 p.m. at night, the night before. Friday night, she sent out an email. And so I missed the email. It's 10 p.m. at night. Keeping in mind, on Thursday, the day before I got the email, she confirmed deadline's on Monday. And so now we're scrambling. It's Saturday. We're trying to figure out what to write. We submit the offer. It's submitted like 30 minutes before the deadline. Because my people had asked, hey, with these deadline situations, should we submit our offer immediately, or should we wait until the deadline? Like we're joking, like, yeah, submit it at 4:59 p.m., on Monday sort of deal. Because thought process is, listen, guys, you submit that thing first thing, 100K over asking. Now all of a sudden, when people ask the listing agent what they got, she's going to say, oh my gosh, I've got this fantastic offer. You're going to have to come in real strong. And everyone comes in strong. So we submit the offer, and of course we don't get it. 14 offers. The agent was very cordial in sharing that we were the fifth best offer, because oftentimes when we lose offers, it's like, okay, you lost, move on. Okay, all right, thanks. But I do like to kind of understand if we were in the conversation, or if the goalpost for what I'm suggesting to my buyer clients needs to completely change. And so I'm trying to figure out what I could have done better. What should have happened? Because when we have these offer deadlines that are kind of just thrown out there as just these arbitrary times and dates, it can be tricky, because sometimes you'll see offer deadline, Monday, 5 p.m., we're not changing it. Sometimes you'll see offer deadline Monday, 5 p.m., but the seller's going to review offers, and if there's something good, then they'll take it before. Well, I got news for you. Then that's not an offer deadline. That's simply, you're going to take something if it's good. And if you're saying, well, the seller has the right to always decide what's best for the seller and it doesn't really matter about the buyer, then that's great. Then don't set an offer deadline. The problem that I run into is when you set an offer deadline and you don't stick to it, and you change that offer deadline. And again, I'm going to use the expression, you move the goalposts. So you've set the expectation, you've told agents, and now either you were woefully unprepared for the amount of demand in the Northern Virginia offer, or even worse, you were bullied by a buyer who came in with a really strong offer and put their own deadline on it of, let's say, like Saturday at night. I don't know if that's what happened, but I've seen that happen in the past. So, Shawn, now I'm left to believe, are deadlines completely worthless when you're a buyer's agent? Should you always just submit the offer immediately, always escalate over? I'm so curious. Where am I off base here on this move deadline situation?
Man, this is so hard because in the end, you can do whatever you want to do as a real estate agent and say, you know what, the offer deadline is here and this is what we're going to do and we're going to abide by this thing. But whose job is it to say that we've got offers, right? When you get an offer, you have to send it over to your clients and review it with them in a timely manner. And so you can say that you're going to have a deadline, and we all try to abide by that deadline. It's a very hard thing to do because especially in this market, when you've got so many people coming through there, you've got 40 agent showings, you've got hundreds of people through open houses, you know that you're going to have a lot of offers. But you are working for the seller. And when you're working for the seller's emotions and the seller's needs are what matter. And sometimes these sellers can change their mind pretty quickly, and they don't want to go through the stresses of having their house open for as long. They thought they could do it, but things change, right? And so that's where we as agents on a listing side have to be, I guess always thinking of the seller and the seller's best interest. And it's really difficult to then say that to the buyer agent and say, listen, we put a deadline, but you know what? My seller all of a sudden is freaking out and wants to take this offer because they love this offer. So sometimes it just doesn't matter what we try to do to make this system work where everybody abides by the same timeframes and keeps in there, because we're working for somebody that might not feel the same way. And so I've been in the situation so many times as a buyer's agent or as the listing agent, and it's difficult. It can stress you out big time. When you're the listing agent, you're trying to hold people off, but you don't want to hold them off too hard because you want them to write. You want them to write really strong, so you don't want to piss them off by saying, hey, no, we're not going to review anything. All right, well, forget you. We're going to go somewhere else. It could happen. It's happened in the past. And there's a big example of this when I was younger in my career, and I was working on a team kind of, and the team leader was like, we're reviewing offers at this time. They get an offer that was amazing, $25,000 over ask for that time in 2005. $25,000 over asking price. And they said, no, we're going to review offers on Monday at X. And then all of a sudden the weekend goes through, no other offers. And guess what that offer did? They came back at full price. So they tried to entice it off the market, right? And they didn't get the contract. Later wrote for $20,000 less. Guess who was pissed off? The seller. The team leader was like, don't take this offer. We're going to get more. We're going to get more. Do you know that you're going to get more? So you're in this thing where you think you're going to get more, but what if you don't? What if you get a great offer and you don't get any better than that? So there's these emotions that are going through everybody's heads to say, am I doing the right thing? And so what starts happening in your instance is, yes, of course, as a buyer agent, I'm trying to take that property off the market. So what am I going to do? In a lot of instances, if my clients want it and I'm trying to get it, I'll put a deadline. Say, hey, I'm going to give you this amazing freaking offer, cash, $100,000 over asking. Will you take it? You have till Saturday night at 6 p.m. to tell me. And so I have to then say that to my seller, and my seller is going to be like, holy cow, I have till tonight to do that. Well, then let's change the deadline, right? So it's not the agent's fault in that, because what if they say, no, we're abiding by this timeline, and the same thing happens that happened to me in 2005. Now you're left with a bag of nothing.
Imagine being so scared to list a single family house in Falls Church for $900,000 that a buyer is going to come and bully you, and you share one story from 15 years ago. Like, what sort of conversations are you having with the homeowner beforehand? Because what I'm saying to River, out in Sterling, my previous listing, I'm saying, listen, here's the deal. This is what's going to happen. We're going to go in coming soon status. We're going to get an off market. I guess we're on the market. We're going to get an offer. It's going to have a deadline on it. It's going to be good. You need to decline the offer because you're going to get a better offer on the other end. And in the rare scenario that no offers come in, yeah, we may be out $25,000. But guess what? We're professionals. This is not a hobby. This is not a part-time job. I don't have a 9 to 5. I'm not a consultant. I don't, go back and only do this on the weekends. We know what the market looks like. I mean, this house got 14 offers. And by the way, I'm not upset. Like, I would have lost the house on Monday. I just lost it on Saturday. I'm not mad because I lost the house. No, not at all. And by the way, this story is not unique. I'm not a precious little snowflake because this happens to like 500 buyers agents throughout Northern Virginia every weekend. Deadlines are missed. Deadlines are pushed up. Deadlines are adjusted. There's simply no rhyme or reason. The whole basis of this is, what can I, as a real estate agent, take away from this? I am a listing agent sometimes. I am a buyer's agent sometimes. I work both sides of the transaction, and I want to be able to improve on every single transaction. And frankly, oftentimes you improve a lot on transactions that don't go through, things that don't work out. And so for this one, here's what I'm taking from it. I'm having upfront conversations with my sellers and saying, hey, this is how long it's going to take to sell your house. This is, the ballpark of showings we're going to get. This is where I think it's going to escalate, whether that's 3%, 5%, sometimes 9 or 10%. And, these are the scenarios. These are the options. Now, if you're living in the house as that homeowner, you're going to have 100 people trample through your house for 4 days. It's going to be terrible. You're going to hate that. Go out of town.
Yep.
Leave town. Don't leave the house every 15 minutes. You're going to drive yourself crazy because you're going to come back. The back door is going to be open. The lights are going to be on. Someone didn't flush the toilet. You got to get out of the house. So the homeowners out there that are scared that they're only going to get one offer and then they're going to be gone by the time the weekend is over, stop. Just stop it. It's not going to happen.
Yeah. Well, 2 things on that. Number one, you're correct. If you are prepared and you say, listen, contracts are due Tuesday at noon, we will not review offers prior to that time. My clients are out of town. They're not looking at anything. That's kind of what you have to do. We will not look at anything because my clients are unable to. Okay? So whatever you put in now, we're not going to review it. It's going to be Tuesday at noon is when we're first going to review offers. So if you are completely upfront and say, we will not look at anything, I'm telling you, don't even write it, right? Don't write it until Tuesday at noon is when we're going to look at them. That is a way better chance of not getting bullied, right? So you have to be forceful in that. So that's one thing. And I think I learn all the time on that. It's like, you know what? Let's just put the deadline and say we're not reviewing, and that's it, right? So that'll hold the people off. Number 2, on the buy side, and all the time, real estate is very unpredictable. There is no set in stone of anything in real estate. And you know what? We as real estate agents have lives. We want to go away. We want to have the freedom to say, hey, I'm not thinking about real estate today. I'm going to go to Colonial Williamsburg with my family and enjoy some time, right? But the problem is, we're real estate agents, and this is what people don't understand, is like sometimes we actually have to look and kind of make sure that everything is going, even though we're away, we still have to have the business hat on to say, what if something happens? And that's what's the thing that people don't understand about real estate. You guys that say you can do real estate, that say, oh, you make good money, that say, oh, what do you do? Just open a door and then write a contract and you make 15 grand. Oh, I can do that too. We don't have the luxury of sitting at home on a weekend and just putting our feet up and not thinking about work at all. We have to think about work pretty much every day. And if you're not, then you're not doing your clients a good service, right? And I'm not saying that you didn't do your job there, right? I'm not saying that at all, but I'm saying that we have to keep this in mind. We have to keep this on our minds at all times. And when you're representing a buyer, and I've done this in the past where I'm like, all right, contracts are due Monday. And there's another one. I'll give you another example that I lost because they moved up the deadline. I was like, oh my God, like, why didn't you tell me you moved up the deadline? I didn't know. And she's like, sorry. I was like, wait, just let me submit this. Nope, owner said done, right? And I'd go back and tell my client that. I'm like, sorry, we missed the deadline because maybe they moved up the deadline, but maybe I wasn't, thinking about it enough to say, all right, should I check in with this? And I guess the lesson is, as real estate agents, we should be checking in maybe more often than we are with the listing agent to make sure that they're sticking with this deadline. And I think that's a lesson for you and I to say, all right, hey, we never know what's going to happen. Yes, they can say that there's a deadline, but we need to be checking in because we're trying to get our clients this house and we don't want to miss the opportunity. It's tough, man. And anybody that's in real estate knows what we're talking about. Anybody that's outside of real estate doesn't really know exactly what we're talking about because they're not in the trenches like we are every single day.
Yeah, and to put a bow on that, I think the two takeaways on the buyer side, because I keep talking about setting seller expectations on the buyer side, here's what I'm going to do moving forward when I see that offer deadline. I'm going to call the agent and say, what % chance is this offer deadline going to move or that you would take something off the market before the property goes live? And then the second question's calculated questions. Chris Voss, FBI negotiator, never split the difference question. How open-minded is the seller to accepting an incredible offer before the deadline? Now, you can frame those two however you want. And if there's any hesitation, just any hesitation in the listing agent's voice,
you put that offer in.
You put the offer in.
Absolutely.
So let us know your thoughts in the comment section below on the offer deadline.
I just had that happen this weekend. I was saying that, hey, typically this is what I do. I never set a deadline because, again, you have to know what you're selling, where you're selling, when you're selling it. And single-family home market is insane. Townhouse market might be a little less, but there's not a lot of volume. Condo market, totally different, right? So, this weekend we put on a condo, and I was like, all right, well, are we going to do a deadline? Let's just see how the traffic is, blah, blah, blah. Well, I talked to my client after I had a couple of calls with agents, and I was like, this is what I want to do. What do you want to do? And he goes, well, it's a good offer. I'll review it right now. I mean, I was like, are you sure? And he's like, yeah, just tell him to write it. I said, okay. So I told the agent, my client will review it. If you want to send over this amazing offer, go ahead and send it. And she never said anything. So I was like, okay, well, sometimes people's minds change. And so I never got an offer from that person. I ended up getting an offer all cash, a day later, and he ended up taking it. But that's the thing is you just never know. You think you're going to get it. You think an agent's telling you the truth and that their client's ready. But you know what? Clients get cold feet all the time. It happens all the time, and you never know what's going to happen. So real estate is such a juggling act. You have to understand the ups and downs of it, the changes of mind all the time, the changing of contract, and the different games that go on in the real estate game, right?
Yeah, absolutely. Shawn, let's move on to our next topic. This comes to us from Arlington Magazine, friend of the program. Oh, yeah. Arlington Magazine.
Mr. Hamilton.
Arlington's 10 most expensive neighborhoods. Despite elevated mortgage rates, these 10 neighborhoods are still seeing average home sales well over $1.5 million. Shawn, do you want to take a guess at some of the neighborhoods as we count down the top 10 most expensive neighborhoods in Arlington?
Country Club Hills.
Country Club Hills is on the list.
Lion Village.
Lion Village is on the list.
Yeah, you know what's funny? I was actually going through 22205 the other day. I got an update. The average list price in 22205
which is, would you say that's Westover, Tara Leeway, west of Ballston?
That's correct.
To get a parameter west for the listeners.
The average list price was $1.7 million.
1.7.
I think that's what it was. It was. Don't quote me on that.
It was high.
It was high, and I called my buddy Eric about it. I was like, yo, I sent him this text. Actually, let me make sure of that.
Well, that might be because 1313 Harrison's like listed for
2.3 million, right? 2.3 million, and his he listed at 165, and he got a bunch of offers, and it's going above. So
you're listed at 165. You're below the average. I need to fact check that one. But Shawn, let me count down as you pull that up the top 10 most expensive neighborhoods. It looks like this is the past year of sales. So number 10 is Arlingwood. Do you know Arlingwood, Shawn?
You know what's funny is there are so many like smaller areas inside larger subdivisions, right? Like my civic association is Tara Leeway Heights, but my actual little like enclave is called Larchmont, inside of Terra Leeway Heights. So it's really hard to figure out. Yeah.
So Arlingwood is Arlington's northernmost neighborhood, Shawn, featuring expansive, high-value homes. So think the enclave just west of Chain Bridge, north of Glebe Road, kind of right before the bridge. You turn off. There's a lot of colonials up there. I mean, so only 4 homes sold in 2023 in Arlington. Average sale price in 2023, $1.747. Number 9, we are going to stay in the general vicinity. We have Dover, Balmoral, Riverwood. Basically, Dover Crystal plus Riverwood. So there's going to be a common theme, and it's going to be this east of Military, east of Nellie Custis, east of
22207,
Lorcam Lane,
big lots,
wooded area. So large homes, old tree growth define the streetscape of this woodsy Arlington neighborhood near GW Parkway, the Potomac River. 17 homes sold, average sale price $1.766.
1.766. Now let me.
What do you got?
This is HomeBot. So HomeBot.
You want to show it up to one of the cameras?
Giving me 22205 average.
1.78. I need to. HomeBot I don't know.
That seems high. Usually HomeBot is low.
Average home price.
Average home price in 22205.
I need to learn more about what the average home price means, because that's not average sold. It might be like valuation.
Maybe, because you know what? There are a lot of new constructions. There's Ivanhoe has 2 new construction. There's a bunch going up right now. And like you said, right a street from me, that one on Highland is, on Harrison is 2.35 million. That's too high. It's overpriced, especially on
What is
Harrison.
that going to go for?
It'll probably go 2.1.
2.1?
Yeah.
Shawn, number 8, we have Rock Springs. So we're moving more towards like north central Arlington, which is not a thing, but Rock Spring bordered by McLean's Franklin Park neighborhood to the west and Washington Golf and Country to the east. Woodsy, family-oriented, that's Arlington Magazine's saying, not my saying. Neighborhood in recent years has become a hot spot for shocking large-scale remodels and new home constructions.
Yeah, and that's like bordering up to McLean, and those neighborhoods are just amazing.
This is Knights of Columbus neighborhood.
Knights of Columbus,
so you're at about 1.787, so still in that 1.7, 1.8 range. Number 7, we are going to go to one of my favorite neighborhoods, Ashton Heights.
Really?
They don't call it Cashton Heights for no reason.
That's right.
Coming in at number 7, one of Arlington's oldest neighborhoods, Ashton Heights lies geographically in the heart of Arlington. The neighborhood originated in the late 1910s as a suburb around the Clarendon Electric Trolley Station. 11 homes sold last year in 2023 with an average sales price of $1.793. Shawn, I can't tell you how much I enjoy Ashton Heights.
Ashton Heights is great. It's such a good location too. It's, right against Clarendon and just what would that be? South of Clarendon, south of Wilson Boulevard. Awesome location.
And you got 2 metro stops. Not many neighborhoods you can walk to 2 different metros with Virginia Square and Clarendon. Maybe if you want to throw in Ballston, but not many people are going to do that walk. All right, number 6. We have more of a traditional neighborhood that shows up on lists like this. We have Bellevue Forest, Shawn. So again, we are going east of Military in that kind of upper north Arlington area. Think new construction. That's the name of the game here. 17 homes sold with an average sales price of $1.865. You certainly don't get the walkability, but you get the large lots and houses as large as you can imagine.
Yes. For me, I wanted walkability. That's why I chose 22205 where I live. But, these neighborhoods are gorgeous.
Number 5, right next door to Bellevue Forest, we have Rivercrest. Between Bellevue Forest, Rivercrest, and Arlingwood, you have the pocket right here. It's just the blueprint of an expensive house. The wooded terrain, the privacy, the large lots. Only 4 homes sold in 2023. Average sales price, we're now at 1.9. 1.9. All right, rounding out the top 4. Coming in at number 4, we have Country Club Hills.
Yeah, of course.
Shawn, the heavy hitter of North Arlington, established from the 1920s to the 1940s on 126 acres of the former Civil War era Grunwell estate. The wealthy enclave borders Washington Golf and Country and is home to politicians, media personalities, and sports icons. Now, I don't know what sports icons live in Country Club Hills, but there might be some. 16 houses sold in 2023, coming in at an average sales price of $1.99, which is interesting because the average sales price in 2022 was $2 million. I'm thinking there were probably just a few more teardowns, which dragged the price down. I mean, the average new construction home in Country Club Hills is well over $2 and should probably be in the $3s.
Oh, yeah. And honestly, I see them in the $4s, like reaching the $4 million mark. And the thing is, that price is deceiving because the lots were going for 1.6, 1.7 just for a teardown. And they're building houses on top of that, which are in the high, mid to high $3s to $4 million.
These are really deceiving numbers.
Yeah, it's deceiving. So
16
those
houses
are
sold, probably like half are teardowns.
Yeah.
All right, Shawn, now we're getting into the top 3. So number 3, we have Lion Village. This should come as a no surprise to anyone.
And that goes to show you again, Lion Village is naturally going to be higher than Country Club Hills because I think there's less teardowns than Country Club Hills. Because now I would think that Country Club Hills probably pulls a higher value per house, but Lion Village has more sales and less teardowns, I think.
Average sales price in 2023 at $2 million. 26 homes sold in Lion Village in 2023. That sounds like a lot. I'd have to look at the numbers on that. Okay, Shawn, number 2, kind of an interesting one here. We have Minor Hill. Okay, so we're now going to go to West Arlington. This is the highest point in Arlington County, rising 459 feet above sea level, which made it a coveted vantage point during the Civil War. We had 5 homes sell for just over $2 million. So, Shawn, think Western Boundary Stone. What do we got? Is this Nottingham Elementary? So think Little Falls Church, Williamsburg, Sycamore in that area.
Mm-hmm.
And number 1, drum roll. We're going to have another smaller neighborhood. We have Crescent Hills. So, Shawn, tucked between Williamsburg Boulevard and Yorktown Boulevard, think west of George Mason and east of John Marshall Drive, you have this small community of neighborhoods that, let's be honest, is, prime for tear-down opportunities. Quaint little streets, back here. We had 10 homes sell in 2023. Average sales price of $2.1 million. Your top 10 most expensive neighborhoods in Arlington. Any surprises there? I mean, it should come as no surprise that, South Arlington did not make the cut. 22205. Did 22205 make the cut? I don't think it did.
Nothing in 22205 came up. And that's the thing is, per neighborhood, maybe that price comes down, but per zip, no, you would think it would come down per zip.
Well, that just goes to show you maybe the value is higher. You can get more for your money in 22205.
We had
Jay Curry on here earlier, and he was saying, hey, everyone's going to 22207. Let's party in 22205. You can get something similar.
That's right. 22207 is definitely higher price than 22205. So, go for 05, baby. That's where I live.
Okay, you can be Shawn's neighbor. All right, let's get into in or out, whether Shawn Battle's in or out on a property.
All right.
Let's go local, Shawn. I like the local more than just random houses in Norway.
Okay.
So we're going to go just across the border to McLean, Virginia. 1714 North Albemarle Street, listed at $5.695 million. Shawn, let me give you the specs on this bad boy. We got 7 bedrooms. 12 bathrooms. I think that breaks down into 9 full and 3 half bathrooms. Okay, we have an elevator servicing 4 levels. This is a 5-level house, Shawn. Think about it, 5 levels. 3-car attached garage, 52-foot indoor basketball court with a locker room, a pub with a sliding glass door overlooking the home basketball court and full outfitted wet bar, home theater with soundproofing, private rear flagstone patio, fireplace, outdoor kitchenette, soaring 10-foot ceilings, gourmet kitchen, owner's oasis, yada, yada, yada. What I found interesting, Shawn, as this house is over 13,000 square feet, is this house was constructed with 75% of the parcel's reclaimed wood and Pennsylvania natural hand laid stone.
I was gonna say it looks like something out of with the stone.
Stonework. It's not your modern farmhouse, white and black that you may see cruising around some of these other Crescent Hills, Minor Hill neighborhoods that we just mentioned.
Yeah.
So for $5.695 million, are you in or out on North Albemarle Street?
Wow. Now there you go. See how the price jumped from Arlington to McLean? I mean, we don't see many $6 million homes in Arlington, but in McLean, they're out there and they go for a pretty penny. This is 13,000 square feet.
13,000.
All right. My first couple things for me personally, if I'm paying $6 million, man, I better have an awesome backyard with a pool and some fun things. I think the house is gorgeous.
Do we have a pool? I don't see a pool.
There's no pool. No pool. Yard is okay. You know, I think the house is gorgeous. I don't need a basketball court. The theater is okay. $6 million in that McLean location. I mean, I love it, right? I love the house, but I think I'm going to pass on this because don't need a basketball court, although it's cool. Need a pool. At $6 million, I need a pool. I need an oasis in the backyard. I need fun. And the one thing that this is saying to me is it's cool. Bar, maybe some fun. I haven't seen the bar. You said there was a bar in
There was a bar.
Yeah.
Well, they only have 34 pictures. By the way, I'm showing a house in Reston this weekend, townhouse. It's on a lake, so I'm sure Nikki Lagoros is all over it. She's probably got multiple clients writing on it. 101 photos for this townhouse. You had to get to photo 48 to get inside the house.
Wow.
That is so egregious. It blows my mind. But for $6 million, this only has 34 photos.
Yeah,
and
you better have more than that.
I don't think we see a bar situation.
Go back that. I love that outdoor right there. That outdoor fence, or I don't know if it's screened in or whatever. So that's an outdoor kitchen with an outdoor fireplace, but you've got the cover overhead. Gorgeous. I love that look. Now I need the pool in the backyard for $6 million. So I'm going to pass on this one, Matt.
Okay. Well, it was listed in 2022 for $6.5 million. I'm sure that's when they were finishing the construction. They had since dropped it last year to $6 million, and they're now at 5.695, basically $5.7 million. So first of all, you see a basketball court. I see a pickleball court.
Oh,
so whatever your heart desires
That's
in
true.
this, 52-foot long,
I like your
whatever
thinking
you
on
want to
that.
call it. And I love like the perched glass where you can kind of look down and see it in the theater room. And I love the exterior. I love
Beautiful home.
I love stone homes. Just the facade of the stone is really appealing to me. The 5.695 is not. The 13,000 to 12,700 square feet, that's aggressive. I love the house, not at this price. I'd love to see it come down. I think I'm in for 5.1. It's going to go simply on square footage for over 5. Had you gone to Mike Baffa's, 4.5 million
no,
dollar
didn't
property?
you do a video in there?
I did.
Yeah.
It was a great house.
Yeah.
I would pay $1 million more for this house, simply because it's larger. I think it's like 3,000 square feet larger, and it's got the sport court, and it seems like a cooler house. It seems like a better. I think for $1 million more, which I know is a ridiculous thing to say, it's better value.
Yeah.
Better value at 5.1, not in at 5.7, in at 5.1.
Okay. Matt's in at the right price. I like it.
$67 a month for your HOA.
Yeah. How much?
$67.
That's insane, Matt. That's just
per
too
month.
high.
Too high. Gotta get that
You have a
down.
$6 million house, you got to pay $67 a month.
$67. Just add it on
So
top.
low.
Love the little wood action.
Yeah,
there in the
I
dining
mean,
area.
there's definitely some nice stuff in here. I'm not saying this house isn't gorgeous, but yeah,
They had a Brokers Open. I was gonna go, but it was raining.
Oh, really? Yeah.
Felt
that's
like
the worst, right?
felt like Steve Spurrier coaching the Redskins. It rains and he doesn't have practice.
Yeah.
Cancels practice if it rains. I don't want to go to the Brokers Open because it rains.
Yeah, that's the worst when you have the bad weather. Speaking of Mike Baffa, he's a car dude, huh? Car guy? He's
Yeah, he's got a McLaren.
He's got a McLaren.
It's I think his second supercar. He used to have
You just don't see that much. Often.
another car.
Do you know what it was?
It was either a McLaren or a Ferrari. I don't know which one because
So
I know
cool.
Ferraris are historically difficult to acquire because there's some like sort of invitation only, or you have to already own a Ferrari and able to buy a Ferrari, which doesn't make sense because if you don't have one in the first place, how are you going to get
It's
one?
like a club.
It's a club.
Yeah.
It's a club. Clearly, we're not in the club, but
No.
you say we don't see it often. There's Cars and Coffee that meets
Oh, yeah.
every weekend in like Vienna and Woodbridge and these other places.
I'm just saying friends of ours that have a McLaren.
Well, we need a new friend. We need to find some more friends.
We need a ride, man.
We don't have enough friends. Dude, he lives a couple blocks away. We drive around the block.
Yeah.
All right. Well,
Anyways.
let us know if you're in or out in the comments section below. And for Shawn and myself, thank you so much for watching. Until next time, we'll see you then.
Take care.